Hey everybody, just started a live stream as of, I don't even remember which day, but I hit 15,000 subscribers and made an announcement that I was going to do a live stream this Saturday, and then my channel's just been going bonkers for the last 8 days. I mean, just insane, where I was adding like 1,000 subs per day. So as of earlier today at like, I don't know, something like 2 a.m. or something like that, I hit 19,000 subscribers. So in the amount of time between announcing I'm going to do my 15,000 subscriber live AMA and asking for your questions for a non-live version, I've added 4,000 subscribers, which is mind-blowing what's going on with my channel. And that's a huge thank you to all of you that that watch, that comment, that click that like button, that click that dislike button, whatever you do. I appreciate it so much. So we're going to go do a live AMA. We're going to go for about an hour, and then we got to go have dinner with my mom and my kids. So we're going to go for an hour. My wife is over here. If you can say hello. Hello. See, she does exist. That she is a real person out there, even though she's camera shy. But she's running the chat board. She's going to throw questions my way. And I guess let's go ahead and get started. Looks like we got a lot of people already chiming in.
Yes, they're all basically saying hello.
Oh, hello, everyone. Let's see. Hello, Junior No Mercy, Kevin Jones, Ismail, Alexander. Ah. There we go. I caught a couple of you guys. What's our first question?
Do you think you'll get 20,000 subscribers by the time the stream ends?
I don't think we'll get it by the time the stream ends unless something weird happens. The odds that I'll hit it by the end of tomorrow, pretty decent. Oh, my dog just almost tripped on one of my lights. Or that's she. That's the girl one. And there's a boy one, right? Bo, if you guys were wondering, I've got to... Oh, just say hello.
Yeah, he's too big.
A little bit too big to try that move. Our first question.
Mr. Muffin Man 09 says, Black Panther thoughts? ?
Black Panther thoughts?
Yes. Do you have thoughts on Black Panther?
I mean, I've already got a review up on my channel, and then... Well, actually, here are my thoughts on Black Panther, because my review of the movie, my thoughts on the character, my thoughts on Killmonger, those are my videos. My thoughts on Black Panther: thank you, Black Panther, because your movie came out, my channel doubled in size in 2 weeks. So I love Black Panther. Maybe next time I do a ranking video, he's just going to move up to that top spot because he's been so useful for my channel. But I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. She hasn't gotten to see it yet. I'm pretty sure she'll really like it. We like Michael B. Jordan going back to... Friday Night Lights. It's a Texas-based show. They shot some of it right here where we live, and he was in the later seasons of the show. So we remember him from 10 years ago on Friday Night Lights, and then he shows up in Creed, and Rocky's kind of a very big part of this household. And so then he shows up in Creed, and the continuation of that does a great job. That movie leads to Black Panther. Black Panther leads to my channel growing. So we're huge fans of it. I think she'll really enjoy the movie. All the Marvel movies are very enjoyable. Even the ones that like I have at the bottom of my ranking where people are like, why don't you like this movie? I do like that movie. Like, why do you hate Hawkeye? I don't hate Hawkeye. Why do you hate... I don't hate them. There's it's very enjoyable. Even the ones that I have at the bottom that I'm frustrated with, I still enjoy them. That's why I make so many movies or videos about Marvel movies. Next question.
There's so many.
Yeah. That's why I wanted you to join in for this one.
Oh, I still can't keep up. Sorry. How did you meet me?
All right, so how did I meet her? We actually grew up going to the same church, but by the time she was in the high school ministry with me, it was a very large church, and so I didn't really know her personally. But we were like, I was friends with the guys, she was friends with the girls and families and stuff like that. So we had all of these common connections. A guy she dated for 3 years. I'd known him going back 10 years, so I knew who she was. I played in several bands and stuff that were at events she was at, so she knew who I was as this crazy long-haired guy.
Threw muffins.
Yeah, we did like a show where we threw muffins at the crowd. So she knew who I was, I knew who she was. And then eventually I was about to go off to the college that she was at in South Carolina. And we were at a mutual friend's 4th of July party. And at it, and it was once again one of these deals where I was friends with the guy, she was friends with the girl. We're at a 4th of July party at their house. And so I just kind of cornered her at this 4th of July party and asked her about the local area. And we knew each other from church. So I asked about churches in the area. And apparently that's a... yeah, good way to meet girls, apparently. And the funniest thing in all of this, so I still have the piece of paper where I first got her phone number. And on the other side of the piece of paper is a different girl's name and phone number. So, yeah, classy. I'm a classy guy like that. And then basically, through a set of circumstances, we ended up driving out to South Carolina together. And my life philosophy is if you ride in a car with someone for 20 hours, you'll either probably end up hating them, become best friends with them, or marry them. And we got married a year and a half later. There you go.
Will you ever rank the Spider-Man TV shows?
I doubt. I don't think I'd ever rank the Spider-Man TV shows just because it would be too much I would need to watch, and it would appeal to such a niche audience, and they're not all easy to watch, or they're not easy to track down. So if they were all on Netflix, maybe because I got kids, so then be like, hey, Liam, let's start watching through all this. But they're not all easily accessible, so I doubt it.
What do you think about the chronological MCU order, like with Captain first and Guardians before Avengers, and that kind of thing?
I mean, I think you can, there's several things out there where the timelines are pretty clear. There's only a few things where it gets weird, where, like, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 takes place 6 months after Guardians of the Galaxy, in which case that means that it's set before Civil War. So there's a few things like that that get a little bit weird, but for the most part, it's pretty chronological. You can track with it. And likewise, Black Panther appears to take place right after Civil War, but before the post-credit scene in Civil War where Bucky shows up. And then the post-credit scene in Black Panther probably takes place after. There's a few things like that where it gets weird, but for the most part, that stuff doesn't really matter too much, I don't think. You can figure out what matters, the details in all of it. But, you know, maybe someday I'm sure there's some chart out there that tracks it pretty nicely, the details that really matter in some of that stuff.
Least favorite superhero?
Least favorite. Who would you guess would be my least favorite superhero?
I'd have to think about it.
Yeah,
I'm bad at stuff like that.
Because there's so many different versions.
Ooh, who do you think would win a fight, Wonder Woman or Thor?
Wonder Woman or Thor? We're crossing through our different worlds here and our different gods of our different universes. I don't know, who would win in that?
I know, they're both full gods.
Both full gods can absorb. I don't know. I don't know. That's tricky.
I think she'd win. Feminine wiles.
And I'll go with Thor because I'm a man. So it all comes down to... Yeah, we'll each take our gender's team on that one.
Very, very creative.
I don't have a least favorite that I can think of. I mean, there's ones that I just don't care about or I don't know about. As opposed to, like, movies out there, there'll be ones that'll put out a bad movie, but that doesn't mean it's a bad character. It means it's a bad movie. And so I don't... There's nothing that comes to mind immediately that I think that's the worst.
Do you think the Soul Stone is in Wakanda in the core of the vibranium meteor?
I'm not an expert enough on that sort of thing. It's very possible that there is an Infinity Stone, and that's the cause why the meteor has powers and powering all this stuff and why they're so advanced. That's very likely. But when it comes to, is it the Soul Stone? Which Infinity Stone is it? That's outside of my pay grade, so I don't want to speculate too much on that. But I would not be surprised at all if an Infinity Stone is in Wakanda, especially if you watch the trailer and Wakanda seems playing into it in big fields and battles and stuff. Seems like we're doing battle in Wakanda to get an Infinity Stone.
How are you doing?
How am I doing?
Yeah.
Good. We've had, I mean, if you guys haven't watched the announcement stuff on my channel a couple days ago, we've had a great last 4 months. On so many different levels. Yeah, a bunch of things in our life just kind of came together. We'd had several years where we were kind of like, what are we going to do? And then that's kind of been answered as of...
Knock on wood. Don't think that. Goodness.
Fingers crossed that it stays that way.
What are you doing saying this kind of thing publicly?
Yeah, I've been telling people publicly for a while. But that's how I'm doing, and we're doing great. And so that a bunch of things came together in a very short period of time that answered a lot of questions for us. And then we announced this a couple days ago that we're pregnant. We got a new baby coming in September, so... We're doing really well. We're very happy. Every Saturday, though, I get, like, sick. I don't know if I'm allergic to something in my house, so I do feel kind of weird right now because of my house. I don't know what it is. It's literally, like, during the week, I don't get kind of these weird headache type things, and then I wake up on Saturdays and, like, my eyes feel kind of swollen, and there's a headache in here.
I think that'll get better when we get a new air conditioner.
So, anyway, there you go. Life's great. My head feels a bit funny.
I'm a little behind. I'm writing down questions so I can ask him
Okay.
when I'm just telling them so they know. I'm working on getting to them. I know they're going to start saying, why don't you ask me my question? Someone suggested you rank MCU final fight scenes.
Okay.
And
you guys leave those comments at like, you should rank this, you should rank this, and I try and respond a lot of the time saying, I'll add it to the list, and I do. I literally I use Evernote extensively, and I just keep putting all the ideas in there, and even the ones from the last couple of weeks, like Stan Lee cameos, villains. Someone recommended I rank the villains like 2 months ago or something like that, and I saw that idea and went, "That's a good idea. I'll do that," and I did that, and then. It's been done great for my channel the last little bit. So I really do pay attention to you guys' ideas. I don't have very many good ideas. I just take you guys' ideas and try and do them as best that I can. So I really do track that stuff.
Sorry. Which do you choose, Gandalf or Dumbledore?
You guys have been on my channel any amount of time. You've heard me say I'm not really a Harry Potter person, and I'm not really a Lord of the Rings person. And it's not hate. I'm not throwing shade.
We wouldn't be together anymore.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. Like she watch it like last night. Went to bed, put a Harry Potter movie on. That's what she does. So I've seen through them scattershot roughly 57 times the whole thing because of how she watches through them, and then she goes through the audiobooks constantly. The American version. Do you do the American version? What's the guy? Who's your guy?
Jim Dale.
Jim Dale. And isn't there a different guy?
Mm-hmm. I can't remember his name right now. He's also awesome, but I just prefer Jim
So
Dale.
she goes through the Jim Dale audiobooks of Harry Potter constantly. Or at least she used to. It's nothing like hatred or anything. It's just not the thing that I connected with. And similarly with Lord of the Rings. I don't in any way want to like trash anybody like, how do you like this crap? It's nothing like that. So I've had to pick between the two of them. I go Dumbledore. I think I'd go Dumbledore. Just the nature of the way the character works is a little bit more lines up with kind of my as this mentor character that has some mysteriousness to his past and current activities, but is still the wise good guy. That's the direction that I would go. And isn't it Jude Law? Jude Law, isn't that right? He's going to be Dumbledore in this new movie coming out this year?
Possible.
I probably shouldn't ask her.
It
seemed like I would be the one that...
I'm not as into the new ones.
So...
Sorry.
Next.
Did you do a... Hold on, did I write it down? Oh, did you do something about how you would fix the DCU? Didn't you do a video on that? Or did you
I did a video on how I would fix Justice League specifically.
Okay, I'm sorry. So someone asked how you would fix the DCU.
How would I fix the DCU? I would, they would need to dig down deep and find their version of a Kevin Feige. That's not someone like Zack Snyder, that's an auteur director. He has a very niche way that he makes movies, and I'm a big fan of his. I'm not in any way a big critic of Zack Snyder. I very much appreciate what he does, and I don't know that it necessarily fits with some of these characters. Especially specifically Superman. I don't think it fits great. And so I would dig down and find someone that knows both comic book characters and filmmaking that's the core of this, that can set up a clear, concise universe that they're trying to aim to do. And then get the great talent that they have boundaries that they have to work within, and then they have a lot of freedom within those boundaries. Because everything we've seen thus far has been Zack Snyder seems to have gotten to do his thing for a couple movies, and then with Justice League, they're like reined him in. But you hear about Suicide Squad and reshoots, change of direction, re-edits. And then, I mean, if you look at the early stuff on my channel, all month of January 2017, like I did a series of movie news videos all on the DCEU. And they announced a new movie. We're doing Nightwing. We're doing Batgirl. Ben Affleck is directing the Batman. He's not writing it. He's still directing it. He's not... I mean, they're just so scattershot. It feels like no one's steering the ship. And it's just out of control. And then you hear about studio heads demanding that a movie is under 2 hours. That's Justice League. And that's just not how you tell great stories. That's not how you build a universe where there's so many cooks in the kitchen, so many different people pulling in direction. It just feels like they're throwing ideas out there and seeing what sticks. No, I don't know who the person is, but they have to find their version of Kevin Feige that can rein everything in and make things happen. That's what I think they need to do. But I don't have like a well, all I need to do is stop doing this and do this. It's not that simple. It's a management issue. And that's why the DC or MCU has done great, is they've had a person that's done an excellent job with that, and the DCEU has not had that. And that's been a problem. And the person that kind of did it was Zack Snyder, probably wasn't the best fit to set something like this up for a shared universe. Standalone movies, probably you'd be great at it. For this, I don't think so.
Do you have a favorite Star Wars movie?
I'd go Empire Strikes Back. I think that's the best one. There's several things about both A New Hope and Return of the Jedi that kind of have a favorite vibe to them. There's some really great things in both of those. All three of the original ones are have some special things. I mean, if you want to, my views with stairs, I'm being careful. Like literally, as I'm filming, my laptop is always sitting on top of these making of Star Wars books. Almost every single video I've ever shot has been with this webcam on this laptop. Of the last 6 months. On top of those books, so I'm a huge fan of all those ones, the making of, the behind-the-scenes stuff. I love all that stuff.
Are you excited?
And I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt. I didn't even realize how those fit together.
Are you excited about Infinity War?
I am excited about Infinity War. I actually decided I was going to re-review every movie in the MCU leading up to it, so that is excitement right there. I've never done kind of a review an entire franchise, and the franchise I picked, by the time that one comes out, will have 18 movies in front of it. So, that is a movie I'm excited about.
If Aquaman fails, do you think the DCEU needs to reboot this and start over?
Yeah. But they're just such in a difficult spot because where are you gonna reboot Wonder Woman? You're gonna shoot that one? You're gonna that's not a dead horse. That you make Wonder Woman 2 with Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot. That's gonna make $400 million in the United States. It's gonna make might make $1 billion by the time it does that one globally. You're going to shoot that one because Aquaman failed and Justice League didn't live up to it. So they're just in a weird spot where I don't think they led themselves to a place where there's no good options. They went so far down a bad path with poor leadership guidance that they found themselves in a place where it's like, we have a terrible brand. We've got great characters. For me, I much prefer DC, Superman, Batman, DC characters to the Marvel characters. Marvel's making great movies. They are consistently making great blockbusters. And the DCEU is consistently making divisive blockbusters. And there's things that, I can respect things about all of Zack Snyder's movies. Oh, well, maybe not Justice League. That's the weird hybrid one, but the two before that. I can respect a lot about those ones. Suicide Squad, it's stuff. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what they should do. They've made such a mess out of all of it, so I don't know what they should do. Stop announcing ridiculous projects. Stop doing strange things, and narrow your focus on doing your core essentials right. Is what they need to do.
There's some celebration about Emoji Movie winning Worst Movie of the Year nomination. I don't know from what.
Is the Razzies today? I think the Razzies might be today. That could be what they're talking about. And so then the day before the Oscars are the Razzies, and those are kind of the worst. I don't like the Razzies personally because it feels like an inside joke that's not clever. It's just like, let's make... Oh, a 50 Shades movie came out, so it's nominated for worst. And so it's like Mother, that was a weird movie, so it's the worst movie. And Jennifer Lawrence is the worst actress, and Javier... And I never particularly cared for him. Of course Emoji Movie's terrible, so I don't need the Razzies to affirm that for me. At the same time, yeah, we haven't watched it, so I can't say that it's the worst. I skipped out on... It looked... As soon as there was like a poop emoji in the trailer, I was like, I don't want my kids to see this. Like, I do not want... We don't need more jokes. Yeah, we don't need more poo and fart jokes in our house. So if we can skip that, that would be great. And I started to figure out, if I'm not going to take my kids to go see some of these kids movies, I'm not going to go by myself and sit in a room full of kids and their moms and be like, hey, kids movies, I love them. I'm not doing that. So I haven't, we didn't. Actually, I didn't go see Paddington 2. Right now, our kids are at Paddington 2 with my mom. So I haven't seen it, but my kids have. So coming back to things I haven't gotten to go see. Anyway, that's a bit of a rabbit trail.
Most attractive female superhero.
Most attractive female superhero.
Mm-hmm.
superhero means they have superpowers. So how many?
Let me check.
Well, no, that would be my definition.
I'm just making sure that's what they said. Go ahead. Just keep thinking. I'll fix it if it's wrong.
I mean, I think if you want superheroes that are superpowered, I think you have to go Wonder Woman.
I agree.
I think you got to right now with what we have.
If
you just say heroes, Scarlett Johansson's very pretty, so it's tricky.
You would choose ScarJo over Gal Gadot?
Are we talking about
Wonder
looks
Woman versus Black Widow
or personality?
Wonder Woman versus Black Widow.
Just looks or personality?
Isn't it a whole package? You can't just pick one or the other. I mean, it's not like you just get a person and they don't have a personality.
That's true. So we're talking about marriage. Which one would I marry long term?
I didn't. You won't marry neither of them because you're married to both of them in one.
If I have to marry one, if it's just looks, I think I'm going Scarlett Johansson. If you're talking about marriage, I'm going to go with Wonder Woman.
All right,
there we go.
Good to know. Do you have a favorite Iron Man suit?
No, I didn't. I'd probably go with that one in the cave. I think that that sequence in the cave is excellent. It's great. That's a great sequence, and so because of that, it's the one that's most distinctive. Whereas some of the other ones, it's like this one's a little bit more orange, and that's not terribly interesting. Or this one can attach to his body because of his bracelets. Those aren't as interesting to me as like that cave one that he built in a cave with his buddy that sacrificed himself. So that one is a little bit more nostalgic for me since I was there in the cave too.
Makes me so sad.
Yeah, now we're getting emotional talking about the cave suit, so it's definitely the caveman suit.
Who do you think is better, Batman and Robin or Captain America 1990? Or which do you think is better? I apologize, not who.
They're difficult to compare because in my mind, I have a lot of nostalgia for Captain America 1990. I grew up watching it. I had it on a VHS tape. I taped it off like HBO. And so I watched that movie a lot when I was growing up. And by the time Batman and Robin came out, I was in high school and I saw that one. And it was like one of the first times I was ever excited for a movie and went to go see it. And I went, this is garbage. It's the first time that's ever happened. I think that when they made Batman and Robin, they succeeded in making the movie they were trying to make. They just had a terrible idea for the movie they were trying to make that no one wanted. It's like Joel Schumacher wanted bat nipples and plastic icicles and camp, and so that it's, very adult humor combined with very juvenile. Like, he wanted that. No one else did. Whereas Captain America, they had a lower budget. They made some mistakes. The screenwriters openly stated that movie does not represent the script that he wrote. It repeats gags in it and stuff like that. If I just had to go the Sean Chandler pick, which one is the one that has a more special place in my heart? I have to go Captain America 1990.
Now that Avengers...
She won't watch either one of them with me.
What? Which one will I watch with you?
You just read the question.
I'm reading other people's questions.
Captain America 1990.
No.
Batman and Robin.
With Chris O'Donnell?
There's Batman Forever with Chris O'Donnell, and there's Batman and Robin with Chris O'Donnell.
I will watch a movie with Chris O'Donnell in it.
Okay, so she will watch a movie that has Chris O'Donnell in it. So do what you want with that.
Now that the Avengers are pushed up a week, will you review 2 MCU movies this week?
No, that is definitely not happening. Those are really difficult to do. The re-review ones, they just take... They're actually, the early ones were really difficult because there's the background stuff that I try and do with them. And so that takes a long time to research and put together. And then with kind of the sequels, it's a lot easier because there's not a lot of backstory. There's not casting and the history of it and studio changing rights and stuff like that. That's all established almost by now on all these, so they're a little bit easier to do. I'm not quite sure. One of the things that makes it a little easier is that Black Panther came out 2 weeks ago, in the middle of me doing all of this, and so I can justify not re-reviewing that one, and I don't know that I'll be able to watch it that week. I don't know. It'll probably be at my dollar theater, so I could potentially rewatch it and take notes and do a proper review. Maybe it'll be on video. I doubt it with the movie being pushed forward that much, but most likely I just won't re-review Black Panther beforehand if I get to that. I haven't mapped out the weeks yet, but yeah, they're screwing with my my release schedule.
Sorry, someone asked where your Flash and Arrow reviews were. Like, I assume why you're not doing them anymore.
Yeah, so I went into this year fully intending to try and do them week to week, and then they were just not getting the views. Like, I did some stuff last year, and they were getting 1,000 views, 2,000 views sometimes, so they're doing really well, and then this season it was like 200 views. And that's where my channel was at the time. Not horrible, but it wasn't very good either. And the problem is to do a review of a TV show, it means I have to lock in a night of my week to watch a show. And those shows in particular, they're not on Hulu. I don't have a TiVo or anything like that. And so I'd have to watch them live, which means running a cable through my house from my antenna up on my roof, and that's obnoxious. And so that's when my kids go to bed. And so it was rearranging my life to watch a TV show, putting out reviews, and having done several for Arrow was tricky because it's Thursday night, so that's when new movies release. So I just couldn't really do it. And with The Flash, I did several of them, and there just wasn't enough viewership to justify that. And basically, my channel's also shifted quite a bit in its focus over time from, I'm going to review movies, I'm going to review TV shows, I'm going to do ranking videos, I'm going to do movie news, to I do big franchise ranking type stuff. That's really what people subscribe to my channel because of that. And there's a few other things here and little things to put some spice on it, but at the core of my channel is trying to do ranking related to broad appeal franchising. And so that's what I've been trying to push my channel towards more and more over time, to do that well. That's what the most people want. So I'm a little bit behind on The Flash because CW pulled it from Hulu, and it makes it difficult for me to watch it now. So there's a lot of different things like that kind of tie into that one. So I wish if I was full time and I could rearrange different things, and especially I would probably have a second channel to do some of the TV review stuff, so it's not clogging up this one where people subscribe for ranking stuff, and then it's like random TV shows that they don't watch. I don't want to do too much of that.
Should Hulk be rebooted?
No, because we have a universe with him, so that as long as the MCU's going, I wouldn't want them to
It could potentially mean should Hulk have a new video with Mark Ruffalo. They didn't say that, but because the last Hulk video exclusive was with Edward Norton.
Movie.
Yeah, it just said should Hulk be rebooted.
If you're asking should there be another Hulk movie, it's tough to say because we'd have to see what's going to come after Thor Ragnarok, where they implied a whole bunch of things about him changing back and what's going to happen. So I just don't know what's going to happen with the Infinity War. I think that they found the right way to use the Hulk, and I don't know that they need to mess with that. And I'm a huge defender of the Incredible Hulk movie. I don't know why people don't like it. I don't know why people kind of trash it. And, I do these videos.
Edward Norton one?
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, I don't know why people are, oh, that one's definitely the worst. What, you have that one above this, and this. It's a well-structured, made movie. It doesn't have the fun of the humor and stuff of modern ones. And so, but it hasn't resonated with people. And it didn't make money. It's by far made the least money of any movie in the MCU. And I think they're just going, he works well as this side character.
It was also following really bad movies. Really bad. I had no desire to see it when it first came out because the others were so bad.
It was coming at a weird time where MCU wasn't established. It was, the Ang Lee Hulk. We're not fans of it. It's not so great. And then you had Ghost Rider, Daredevil, Elektra, Fantastic Four movies. So anyway, there's several factors into it, but people still say they don't like it in my comment section. So.
Are you looking forward to Creed 2, or do you think it's going to end up to be a poor man's Rocky with Drago and his son?
I'm terrified of Creed 2. I'm terrified of Creed 2 for a lot of reasons. And that's... Well, let's just say, when they first announced Creed, I was like, you're insane. A movie called Creed about Apollo Creed's bastard son? You're insane if you're doing this. And then they got the guy doing Fruitvale Station. I haven't seen Fruitvale Station yet, but well-reviewed movie. And then they get Stallone's coming back, and Michael B. Jordan went, okay. And then the trailer came out, and I was like, okay, I'm cool with this. And then Coogler goes and does some other little movie for comic books or something like that it probably won't do well when it comes out. It was Black Panther, so it did great.
I was like, are you being sarcastic?
Yeah, very sarcastic. But so then... eventually they said that Stallone was going to write and direct it, and he'd been teasing that on Instagram for a year. He was posting like pictures of scripts and like, hey, Drago, and all sorts of weird, goofy stuff. And they announced he was going to write and direct it, and then 2 months later, they decided he wasn't going to direct it anymore. And I just see that and I go, and they went, and the reason they gave he's not directing it is because, like they needed, it's a millennial movie. It's about the millennial mind, and so they need a millennial to direct it. And I hear that and I go, that's not new though. Stallone, when they announced you 2 months ago, you were still in your 70s. Like that's not new information. So what just changed? That you spent a year writing this, they announced you're directing it, and then so quickly they changed that. I was afraid that when they announced that, I was afraid that within a week they were going to announce that, or some scandal was going to break on Stallone because it was in the middle of the sexual harassment craze. I was like, oh dear, is Stallone about to go down? That hasn't happened yet. Of course, that's where you would worry. Yeah, this is my fear. There was a story about him, but it didn't go anywhere. In which case, still kind of going, is something about to hit the fan? I'm just so nervous because no Coogler, because I don't think Stallone is the guy to do it. I don't think Stallone was the guy to write it or direct it, and there's not many people that are bigger Stallone fans than me. You can ask her. I've got his book. I'll just grab it. This like.
Oh my gosh.
That was scary. Here it is.
Oh my god. Don't die.
I keep Sly Moves nearby all the time. Sly Moves. His book on exercise. Look at this. This is right here within grasp. That's how important Stallone is to my life. I don't think he's the right guy to do Creed. And I knew that. I was going, New Blood is what made Creed a good movie. And if it wasn't Coogler, find someone else. And so I'm very nervous. And bringing Drago into it, it's just going so far into the Rocky IV territory that's scary. So, anyway, those are my thoughts on
it. Which director, excuse me, do you feel like is on a hot run for
Ryan Coogler?
This person said Christopher Nolan.
Who do I think is on a hot run?
Yes.
Of course, Christopher Nolan he's been on a great run for about 10 years now. Ryan Coogler is an up-and-coming, just like reignited the Rocky franchise when people thought that was, as me, the huge fan of Rocky franchise. Ryan Coogler then following Creed up with Black Panther. This guy, this guy is on fire with the numbers and how much Black Panther's beloved out of the gate and how much money it's making. Like, it is making insane amounts of money for a franchise, like, inside the MCU, where movies do great, it's knocking it out of the park compared to that standard. And so Ryan Coogler, you have to talk about it. I didn't realize Ryan Coogler was going to be this major theme of this live stream.
Right? He should pay us for sponsoring. Yes,
but that's just where we are in the world right now. Ryan Coogler, he's the hottest director right now because Black Panther was so beloved and he did it and it's making money.
He did it well.
Did it well. Who would some other ones that would come to mind?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. What? You know that.
I can't come up with anything right off the top of my head. Coogler's the one that actually that's the one probably because I've been talking about him so much. But if you guys want to throw some my way, I can throw them in the comment section. Who do you think are the hot directors right now? Are they saying any?
Not yet.
All right. Well then.
Sorry. There's just a lot coming in, but no, I don't see any directors at the moment. Okay. Holy cow, you guys! Like 50,000, but I don't see any directors. Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright. I wouldn't say Edgar Wright. Villeneuve.
I'm sorry.
Here's what it's tricky.
Taylor Waititi, is that a name?
Taika Waititi is Thor Ragnarok. Edgar Wright is Baby Driver. Denis Villeneuve is Blade Runner. So it's tricky because you go Denis Villeneuve and Edgar Wright. They're making great movies. They keep making great movies, but they're not necessarily making profitable movies. James Gunn made Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That's a joke. Jordan Peele as a first out of the gate, We used to, like, I used to repeat so many, she did, repeat so many Key and Peele skits constantly, and then Key kept having all these roles in movies, and so it was like he was the one that was going to break out, and then we Get Out, and it turns out Jordan Peele is the one that is now a superstar that has all sorts of opportunities. But when you talk about who's a breakout director, there's a lot of different ways to do that. I mean, Quentin Tarantino's been on a hot streak for 25 years, so sure, but yeah, he's been doing that for a long time. So yeah, those are all good picks, but it kind of depends on how you define the terms.
Okay, this one we've gotten several times. Who would you cast as the new Wolverine?
Tom Hardy? It's tough. Normally,
he's so old though.
But that's if he can stay. It's tough because.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to contradict you.
I tend for those types of roles. I prefer to get someone that I don't know who it is or that's not an A-lister. So I don't have necessarily these obvious, like, if it was going to be an A-lister, Tom Hardy would be the one that would kind of come to mind. But like, I like that they got Hugh Jackman. When he started as Wolverine, he was nobody. Like, we know, I mean, if you're Australian and into theater, you knew who he was. And everyone else was like, who's this guy? I thought they were going to get Dougray Scott from Mission Impossible. He was in Ever After. Who's this Hugh Jackman guy? Well, turns out
related?
What?
I think they're related.
Hugh Jackman and Dougray Scott?
The one that was in Ever After?
Yeah. The one that's in, you mean Taken 3?
Yeah. I thought I read somewhere they were related. I could be totally wrong.
Well, I'm talking, so I can't.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I can't fact check that right now. But while we are not writing those down, maybe you can. But so he was a nobody, and he just did a great job, and that's why he became Hugh Jackman, the greatest showman.
Yeah.
She literally she doesn't rewatch anything in the theater. She went to go see The Greatest Showman every single week for 8 weeks straight.
That's not true.
20 weeks straight.
That's not true.
And has not... Earlier today, she was listening to the soundtrack like
true.
On repeat ever since that movie came out.
That's almost true.
Like taking all of her friends to go see it, like one-on-one basis. So it keeps going to go see it. So I don't have anyone in mind. I want them to get someone that I don't really know who it is. Like Chris Hemsworth. He was Kirk's dad in Star Trek 2009. We didn't know who he was. We didn't know he was going to be as funny... to overuse my word, charismatic. He didn't know he was this leading man, but the casting people did. Henry Cavill. He was in Count of Monte Cristo as the son at the end of it. Because they sword fight in it. He'd been this guy that had been around in Hollywood for years, and casting directors knew he was great. He'd been up for James Bond when Daniel Craig got it. They knew he was great. But we didn't know that. He hadn't become that leading man yet, and so they cast him as Superman, and you can just see him as Superman, and it's not distracting. And that's it. Like, going back to DCEU, I don't have any real problems with Batfleck. I think he has the size. I think he did a good job in Batman v Superman, less so in Justice League for many other reasons. But I don't necessarily like to see A-listers being cast in a lot of those roles. I don't mind them like in those MCU Odin type roles, but... get a Chris Evans who's like a guy you know him from other stuff and give him that chance to shine in something new that brings him to the A-list. So I don't have anyone. That's a really long answer for who would I cast as Wolverine.
So many questions. Who do you think will win Best Picture tomorrow, and who do you want to win?
I don't know if this is surprising or not because I'm kind of a Neanderthal in my movie taste. I think I've only seen like 2 of the nominations.
Is that real?
Yeah. I was... Essentially, as soon as those movies started to come out, like, my channel started to shift. Very much so. Because I was going to go see everything, and I was trying to hit everything, and then Thor Ragnarok came out, and I just kind of had such a big boost, and then, well, recently I had another boost, so... I haven't seen Lady Bird, 3 Billboards, Call Me By Your Name. Like, I haven't seen them. So I've seen Dunkirk and I've seen Get Out. I think those are the only 2 that I've seen.
We gotta check that.
I don't
gotta see what you have and haven't seen.
Off the top of my head, if you could, I mean, obviously, if I saw the list, I would know. But I think I've only seen 2 of them.
Sorry.
So I don't have a guess. And I even, as of this year, when they announced the nominations, I planned to watch them so I could rank them. That's what I do. That's a perfect one. Rank the Oscar nominations beforehand. And then to tell you how sophisticated I am of a movie talker person guy, it didn't happen. I even went to the theater to go see Lady Bird, and because I used MoviePass to go see the movies, and it was like sold out. It was like a re-release of it because it was nominated, and my theater switched to doing assigned seating, so I don't have any real guesses. I have no clue. I don't know. I can't guess anymore. There's so much political stuff in where they fail to do things and then they revert it. And they've got several like historic World War II type ones. Those tend to be Oscar bait type things. So, yeah. I'm just shocked that Get Out got nominated. I think it's bizarre that movie was nominated.
There's a lot of people that like it.
I mean, I like it too. I don't know what you might.
I haven't seen it.
But it's kind of like an episode of The Twilight Zone. So you might really like it for that reason. There's a bunch of things that you could like about it, and then it goes in the third act and does some things you probably won't like so much. But so it's interesting. We need to probably watch that one soon. Next question. I don't know why I told you guys that. Next question.
Do you think? I don't know if this is Matt Reeves' Batman trilogy can be as good or better than Nolan's?
You don't know who Matt Reeves is? Matt Reeves, the director of... It's not right there. That I failed miserably at whatever I was trying to do there. He directed the last 2 Planet of the Apes movies.
Oh, okay.
So,
I told
is
you.
Dawn out there? Do we not have Dawn?
We have to. Someone must have borrowed it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People borrowed our copies of it. That's what... I need to get those back. Track those people down. He directed those 2 movies. So, when they announced Affleck was out, shortly afterwards they announced Matt Reeves is going to direct them. I thought that was great. I think he's a great pick. He's done darker stuff. And his movies have real conflict, where there's different worldviews in it. I love that stuff, to where you really understand both sides, real tension. So I thought he was great pick in that regard. Can it be better than Nolan movies? I doubt it. Just because the Nolan bar is pretty high, and it especially in the way people perceive the Nolan movies, it's a pretty high bar. At the same time, I don't think it's like this insurmountable bar, because there's really The Dark Knight is this one that's kind of this huge peak, and then different people kind of go back and forth on a lot of people. Some people really like Batman Begins, some people really like what they did in The Dark Knight Rises, but other people don't like Batman Begins nearly as much as The Dark Knight, and a bunch of people really don't like Dark Knight Rises nearly as much as The Dark Knight, in which case there's an opportunity there for a better trilogy. And Nolan's is Elseworld Batman. It's a standalone thing without the rest of the DC universe. Matt Reeves has the advantage of, what if he's the guy that gives us a Batman trilogy where Superman shows up, where Wonder Woman shows up, where the Flash shows up, and they're not main roles or anything like that, but it's part of the actual universe. That's really cool. That's why we love the MCU so much, because we love seeing these universes be this big. Perhaps Matt Reeves can do that. And if you're going to have a guy follow up Christopher Nolan's stuff, I think Matt Reeves is a great pick. DCU, not very well. Nervous about that.
I'm blown away by the number of questions. There's so many. One I keep seeing.
How many people are watching right now?
129.
Woo! Woo! That's a live stream right there.
We're gonna need to get 2 people to run your comment section. I've seen multiple times they're wanting to know your thoughts on the Venom trailer and then the movie.
The trailer, I didn't like the trailer because I get it's just a teaser. But if you just watch that teaser trailer, if you don't go in knowing it's a Venom trailer, if you don't go in knowing Venom mythology, I don't think it teases what the movie is very well. It's just teasing. Was that okay?
Bo.
Okay, but the stream's still good.
Yeah, you're fine.
I got a red warning on my screen.
Mine is yellow, but still
okay.
Live.
So, Venom. But it doesn't tease enough of who Venom is. It teases the themes of the movie, but if you don't, like, you can see the symbiote in a tube and stuff, and some stuff like that, and you see cars exploding, but you just kind of go, okay, is this like a generic sci-fi movie with Tom Hardy? I like Tom Hardy. I guess I'll probably watch this. But you wouldn't at all go, oh, Venom, from the Spider-Man stuff. And then as for the movie itself, I have no clue, because it's coming from Sony, so that makes me nervous. And then they haven't made it clear if it's connected to the MCU or not. So I'm guessing best case scenario, it'll be a movie equivalent of the Marvel Netflix stuff, to where technically in the same universe, but more like a cousin to the universe as opposed to full-blown part of it. If, that's a big gigantic if it's a part of it, and they haven't been clear, and that stuff drives me nuts when studios won't just give an answer on something that's kind of important. Like, is this just a standalone Venom movie? Will Tom Hardy show up in it? Or, like, can you just tell us this stuff? Because if you're just trying to, like, make it a mystery so that when Tom Holland shows up, we all go, oh, look, Tom Holland shows up. It's part of the MCU. That's kind of obnoxious. That's a weird way to promote a movie just so that that opening weekend, people have a smile on their face for one scene. That we would have a smile on our face for that one scene no matter what. You could just tell us it's in the MCU, and then we'll still smile when Tom shows up.
Someone says you look kind of like Tom Hardy.
I got a lot of Chris Pratt this week.
Yeah.
I got a lot, more Chris Pratt this week than I've gotten ever before. I don't think I've ever gotten Tom Hardy before. I mean, probably because I took my shirt off, and if you've seen the movie Warrior, you'd be like, Rip. This guy looks just like him. His traps just shoot up just like him. All that fun stuff. But
you were his body double.
Yeah, basically, in that movie, they had to shrink me down because I'm a lot taller than him, and they just superimposed his face onto my body in that movie, basically.
All real.
You guys didn't know that. Just surprise. But I haven't heard Tom Hardy before. That's an interesting one.
I still...
and that means I could be Mad Max!
Mm-hmm.
Watch that with Chloe tonight, maybe.
Shut up.
Who did you say I look like?
Dax Shepard. I've always...
Oh yeah, Dax Shepard, yeah. I thought she said Ben Shepard, and I was like, what?
Dax Shepard.
So she says I look like Dax Shepard is the one she goes with. Next question.
Which live-action Disney movie do you think will flop? Lion King or Aladdin? Or both? They didn't say both. I did.
False dilemma. Because neither one of those movies is going to flop. Both of those movies are going to make so much money. Those movies are working based purely off nostalgia. Because I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about that Beauty and the Beast movie. It made like $1 billion. But it's one of those things that's like a nostalgia experience. Like I took Chloe to go see it, and she put her dress on and everything. It was a very cool deal to go to make that happen. If we're gonna watch Beauty and the Beast, we're gonna put the cartoon on. We're not gonna put that movie on. And so I'm not nervous about Jon Favreau's Lion King at all. There's been some stuff about some things with it that I was a little bit, that's a little bit weird. I have an enormous faith in Jon Favreau. When he has the right thing and the right resources to make a movie, I think he does. And I've been a fan of his since the year 2000 when the movie Made came out. His first one he directed. It's a little movie with him and Vince Vaughn. It's kind of like a spiritual sequel to Swingers of sorts. And it was when I first got into movies and discovered there's indie movies. There's movies that aren't just blockbusters. And that was one of the first movies I saw. That one and Memento with some guy named Christopher Nolan directed it. And so... I've kind of in my love for movies, Jon Favreau's always had a special place, and then I loved Elf. I think Elf is just a phenomenal movie. And then a few years after that, he does some movie called Iron Man, which is kind of an important movie. And then he does like Chef. So I don't have any don't have any fears about that one really. Aladdin, there's been some weird stuff about that one that's made me a little bit nervous. Which at the same time, Aladdin. It lends itself to being live action pretty easily. Well, it lends itself to being live action way more than The Lion King, which is not going to be live action. It's CGI, fake live action.
It's like Jungle Book.
Yeah, and so Aladdin, that's it. If you can't do Robin Williams, if you're going to get someone else that's charismatic, quick on their wit, can talk real fast, and can do musical numbers, Will Smith, yeah. that sounds perfect. So neither one's gonna
Is
flop.
that confirmed?
Will Smith?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like for a year.
Well, I'm behind the times.
So is that good news or bad news?
Undecided. It's Robin Williams. It's kind of an untouchable.
But that's where you gotta go different. You gotta go different.
I
And Will
can't.
Smith will be Will Smith.
I know.
And
I know.
so that's where I go, yeah. I mean, they're totally different dynamics.
I understand why they would pick him. I don't need a different genie. I wasn't looking for a change.
You didn't like Dan Castellation as the voice of the genie in those direct-to-video ones?
No,
Homer Simpson wasn't the right choice?
Not so much. What's your most memorable movie moment?
Like, most memorable moment in a movie?
I read it directly off the screen. What is your most memorable movie moment?
I don't know. It's a tough one. There's so many moments that are very special in movies. So, like at the moment, the one that's coming to mind, probably because I have a rocket raccoon right here, and we were talking about Baby Groot right before we started filming. Groot dying. That was like a moment that was like, I'm watching it being like, this should be so cheesy, and somehow they're pulling this off. Wow, James Gunn is the man. This is incredible. So that one comes to mind. Superman 2, where Superman tricks everybody, and he has to kneel before Zod and just smashes his hand. Spoiler for all you guys that are under the age of 20. But I mean, I could go down the list of just moments that just really, really hit me in the theaters. I'd have to think about it a little bit. For whatever reason, those are the two that just come to mind. But I just started going through a master class of stuff written by taught by Aaron Sorkin on screenwriting. He did A Few Good Men. There's some stuff in A Few Good Men that I think is great with Tom Cruise and. Anyway, the whole movie's great. That wouldn't even come close to my favorite moments in that one. That's like the famous thing. You can't handle the truth. That's like, yeah, I like everything else in that movie more than that one. Probably.
Watch that one tonight.
Yeah, maybe tonight because we have to watch Guardians of the Galaxy tonight. But we'll do a double feature. Yeah, the first one because I got to review it tomorrow. Excellent. That comes out Monday. So double feature: A Few Good Men with the kids, and then Guardians of the Galaxy with the kids. Everybody, watch A Few Good Men tonight.
But not with your kids.
With your kids.
Not with your kids.
With your kids.
No.
Next question.
Which horrible film would you like to see be done as behind-the-scenes movie, just like The Disaster Artist? And at first, I couldn't think of one. I was going to ask what they were thinking, but then I thought of the I can't remember the name of it. The one that Jon Schnepp did.
Death of Superman Lives.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's already been done. I know, but did you get it?
Did get what?
Oh, The Death of Superman Lives?
No.
Oh.
So guys, if you guys watch Movie Talk, know Jon Schnepp, one of the guys on there, he did a documentary called The Death of Superman Lives. So I'm a huge Superman fan, and I love kind of this behind-the-scenes stories, documentary stuff. So 5 years ago, whenever he did his Kickstarter for it, I kickstarted The Death of Superman Lives. I think I'm in the credits. If you watch it, my name is in the credits when it lists off.
Not that we would know, because we haven't seen it.
Well, I've seen it. I've seen it a couple times.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
But wait, you haven't seen it yet?
No.
So I'm in the credits, and I did whatever the one where you could get the Blu-ray DVD whenever it came out. So I went pretty heavily into it because I was so interested in it. Eventually, it finally came out, and he never sent me my disc. I've never received my Blu-ray for Death of Superman Lives, even though I kickstarted it. And I even messaged him. He's like, "Oh, sorry, man. About that."
He doesn't send anything like that.
When he's tired, he does.
Okay.
Second story about Jon Schnepp. He did a live... we didn't do a live version of the movie. He did a screening here in Austin when he did the premiere. So the first premiere was probably in L.A., and then he went to Austin to do a second premiere at the Alamo Drafthouse. And I went to go see it, and I met him there. I didn't really talk to him because he was like, "Oh, I'm so tired." He was clearly just dead from finishing the movie. And I'm also very shy and introverted, so I'm not one to impose myself. And I've done enough live events, and I don't want to take advantage of a guy that's tired. And so I talked to him a little bit. That's where my voice for him, it sounds nothing like what you would know him from, because that's when I met him. Like, "Oh, yes, he's good." And then I took a picture I had my friend take a picture of me where he was in the background.
It's the shadiest picture ever.
Yeah, actually, I'll try and pull this up real quick. If we can just get a few more there's so many things going on in the chat room.
I mean, I've got 3 pages of questions
All right.
still.
So ask me questions. Ask me a question I can talk about while doing other things while I pull up this picture.
Well, while you're doing that, this is a statement that
okay.
They did ask a question, but you don't have to answer right this second. They wanted to know who your favorite YouTube movie reviewer was, and they said theirs are Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, and you.
Woo!
I thought you'd like
that. John Campy would be my favorite personality. I think he has the most. He's like 90% of the time, I just love what he has to say, and then he kind of 10%. I'm like, I don't know where you're coming from on this one, man. But so always been a big fan of his, and just the way he articulates thoughts and thinks through things is similar to the way I do. And so been a big fan of his. He's kind of one that got me into kind of watching some of this stuff on the YouTubes and internet stuff. So yeah, he'd be the big one. And then I follow and watch this stuff from Stuckman and Jeremy Johns as well. If I had to pick between those two, I'd probably go Stuckman. Takes it a little bit more seriously. So I appreciate that. So yeah.
Goodness, they are so fast. Suggestion that I made a note of: worst to best MCU end credit scenes. Good one.
Post credit scenes.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. Another suggestion: rank Star Trek captains, superhero sidekicks.
Okay.
If you could watch one movie forever, just one, what would it be?
One movie forever.
One movie forever.
Yikes! That's a long time to watch one movie. Let's try to think. What's a movie that I wouldn't mind hating after a while? I don't know. What would be your guess that I would go for that one?
Something quirky, like The Disaster Artist, or it'd be something weird, I think, that you wouldn't mind hating after a while, because I don't think you'd put any of your quote-unquote favorites.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to hate it is the problem. I don't. That's a tough one because it's easier if you say what franchise, because I'd go MCU. There's 18 movies. I enjoy all of them at least a little bit, and there's enough that I wouldn't go too crazy with hating them. But I am not finding this picture.
Okay.
Guess what?
Are you happy Jane Foster is gone?
No, no-ish. Oh, there it is. Okay, just found it. I like Natalie Portman. I just wish they would have had a better opportunity to do something a little bit more with her and be passionate about things. I'm not like excited that she's gone or anything. I guess I don't really have feelings about it at all. It's just kind of a thing that's true. She's no longer in this, as opposed to I have strong feelings on it.
Ooh, this is an interesting question. Do you think Hulk and Banner will be split apart from each other in Infinity War?
All right, there. I just dragged that over. It just worked like that. Is it showing up on your screen yet?
I don't know yet. I was trying to read a question. Because it makes sense seeing Bruce. Yes, it did.
There we go. If you're
Bruce
seeing,
poster.
there's me trying to pose casually with Jon Schnepp. Oh, I can't put my hand in front of that. That's unfortunate. So there you go. Me with Jon Schnepp, and
so creepy.
he is
not him.
He is like he's like 6'5", and so he's a gigantic human being. I am not short by any means, and a couple more pictures I'll throw in here while I'm at it. If anyone hasn't seen this one before, there's me back in my youthful.
Come on.
What?
Which one? I can't see it.
My rock star days. So there you go. One more while I'm using this fancy technology. Oh, this is referencing the one that you talked about before. This is the concert where I was throwing muffins way back. I was actually still in high school in that picture. So if you're wondering what I look like in high school, there you go. Right there. The amazing Scosmonauts. Next question. And we're going to close out in 5 minutes, so try and get the best possible questions. Oh, actually, you guys asked a question, and we went on so many rabbit trails. I would like to see a behind the scenes on Fan 4 Stick. Because clearly the movie wasn't finished. And apparently the director went insane. So I just want to know, how did you have so much talent?
Ooh, Blade Trinity. I'd want to see that.
Blade Trinity,
Not that
another
anyone
one
asked me.
that Blade Trinity is right here. Blade Trinity. That's not Blade Trinity at all. Here it is, right next to it. Blade Trinity, right there.
He looked like a stone Tommy. I can't say his last name. Wiseau?
Yeah. Blade Trinity, Wesley Snipes went nuts on set, and so that would be fun to see. Because, like, it's like everyone's unified. The director, writer, David Goyer, Patton Oswalt, Ryan Reynolds, Jessica Biel, all of them unified in their, like, Wesley Snipes ruined this movie. And obviously Wesley Snipes, as an actor, as a screen presence...
I just want all the stories. That's
so just to see the stories of him walking around as Blade on set, I'm Blade, and then handing people postcards or note cards and stuff like that. What bizarre stories that Patton Oswalt has told. I did a Blade ranking like a couple weeks ago, and I actually had some clips in there of Patton Oswalt talking about what.
When trying to watch the other actors try to do their jobs while he's being insane would be amazing.
I'm Blade.
Sure you are. Do you like Funko Pop? It's a fast one. We only have one. I think we mine.
Well, we have. I think that one's this one right there.
Oh.
Or I think we have some knockoff ones or something like that.
Oh, this is Funko.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of them. That is just not a direction I've gone in collecting things. So we don't need more things to collect. But I don't dislike them. If I had more room to collect things and stack things and be like, hey, look at this thing behind me, I would. Funko Pops would be a fun one.
I've got 3 fast ones.
3 fast ones, okay.
Who would win, Hawkeye or Green Arrow?
Gotta go Green Arrow.
Green Arrow. Okay.
Green Arrow, where I like both Justin Hartley Green Arrow and Stephen Amell Green Arrow, so I gotta go with him. No problem, no hate to Hawkeye, just a Smallville fan and Arrow fan.
Someone was really mad at you about Hawkeye, huh? You've been very sensitive and making sure that they know you don't hate him.
Well, because I got these comments where people were like, why do you hate... Quicksilver, why do you hate Hawkeye? And all these things were like, I even put like a preface at the beginning of this video where I said, this isn't really best to worst, this is good to best. These are all good. They're all cast amazing. Even Quicksilver, who I had last. It's not, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. It's just someone has to be last. That's the way a ranking works. So
someone just said, why do you hate Quicksilver? Do you play Injustice?
The phone version. I played the phone version a lot and even spent some money on it too. And then she found out and wasn't too happy. So I haven't played a console version of it yet. I have a PlayStation 4 now, so I've thought about it. But I've only got a couple games from my PlayStation, and I haven't even played them all that much because my channel's just been having enough success that this has become a second job. And when you have a full-time job, wife, kids, and then YouTube becomes a second job that I have to take seriously and is a source of revenue for us right now, I just haven't been able to. Dragging along, doing these videos, talking to people. And it's like, no, I mean, I love doing it too. It's all of my free time, all of my hobby time is YouTube. It's making videos, it's watching movies to do videos, it's doing research, it's trying to grow. I've if you guys don't follow me on Instagram or Twitter, like I've gone through 20 books already this year. I've through audiobooks and reading some of them. I'm going through courses and stuff to learn how to do YouTube better, just to trying to do this channel the best I can. And because of that, I don't even play the games I have all that much. Otherwise, Injustice is one that is on my mind.
You didn't finish answering the question about Hulk. Do you think they'd be split in Infinity War? We started talking about that and we got totally distracted.
Think Hulk will be split?
From Banner.
I wasn't asked that.
You were too. I started asking it and you
you did not ask me that question.
Well, they said I did. So we win.
What? Was I looking backwards?
Yes, you were not paying attention to us.
Well, I wasn't paying attention then. Do I think it'll be split? No. I don't. I don't know what the theory is, so I don't know where the question's coming from. That's not a thing I am anticipating happening in Infinity War.
I guess it's Bruce was in the Hulkbuster and the Lego set is where the theory came from.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, I answered this for you, but I want to make sure. John Williams or Hans Zimmer?
Oh, John Williams.
That's what I thought.
I mean, Hans Zimmer's, his stuff he did for Man of Steel is incredible. But John Williams. I mean, not even close. I mean, like for me, it's like John Williams, James Horner, and then, Hans Zimmer like here. But John Williams is just so far above everybody else in my mind of... like you can hear a John Williams score and think it's a John Williams. Like I'm pretty sure this is a John Williams score, but not because he's just not ripping himself off. He just has a style. He hasn't ripped himself off. Whereas you can hear my number 2 is James Horner. You hear James Horner scores and he rips himself off a lot. But you can really tell a James Horner story because he rips himself off a lot. And Hans Zimmer has a number of things that he does that are very Hans Zimmer-y. But I'd be John Williams.
That's what
I mean, if you just look at the scores that John Williams has done, the number of Oscars that he's deservedly won, the number of themes that he can do that anyone can hum, it's John Williams.
What actor does your wife have a crush
on? Chris O'Donnell, of course.
That's true.
Chris Hemsworth in glasses.
Oh, yeah. And with his haircut in Ragnarok.
Yeah, pretty much as long as he doesn't have Thor hair. Chris Hemsworth. Who are the other ones?
I don't know. They asked you.
I don't know. I've been talking for an hour straight. My brain's fried. Kyle
Chandler.
Kyle Chandler's a huge one. She's got a thing for like Chandler men extensively, even in all sorts of different ways. Chandler men come up very frequently in a conversation. Like my uncle's is I probably shouldn't have said that one.
It's not like he watches.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my 75-year-old uncle is not watching right now.
Your thoughts on Kristen Wiig in talks of playing Cheetah? The dance party thinks Charlize Theron should play Cheetah.
It's an off-the-wall pick, so I don't know what to do with it because it's one of those ones we go, I don't know how that'll work. I've never seen her do that before, so it's interesting. It's not obvious. I don't know what they saw in the test screenings, what movie they looked at, and they went, oh yeah, she would be great as a villain to fight Wonder Woman. I just don't know.
I can't.
And
she's gonna fight Wonder Woman?
Well, I mean, I don't know if she's gonna fight Wonder Woman, but she's the villain. She's the cheetah, and I don't know anything about the cheetahs, so that also doesn't help in my trying to like, oh, this is who would be a great person to. Charlize Theron seems like an obvious pick for.
If she can move her face.
Yeah, she can move her face. Yeah, but like because after coming off Furiosa and Mad Max Fury Road, she's just kind of the go-to if you need a tough woman. She's the toughest of the women.
Well,
you can cut her.
Atomic Blonde.
I mean, it's a nice follow-up. Yeah, I mean, just continuing kind of this vibe of her as the tough guy, tough gal. So I mean, it'd be an obvious choice, but it's a good choice.
Sorry. Lots of suggestions to rank Spider-Man suits. What are your thoughts on Ocean's 8? Do you like the Ocean's trilogy?
So the first one's great. I mean, the first one, just a ton of fun. When that movie came out, I mean, just people loved it. I mean, just flocked to go see it multiple times because it's just such a breath of fresh air. And then they announced they were doing, and then the sequels I thought were good. The lack of freshness, some of the felt a little bit like they're trying to do an Ocean's movie as opposed to just smoothly being a very enjoyable movie. When they first announced that they were doing this one, I was like, oh goodness, another one of these gender swap reboot remake things. And then when they announced the cast, and then when the trailer came out, I was it made me go, yeah, I'm actually nostalgic for this. Like I'm actually kind of digging this just because it seems like enough time has passed. This makes enough sense. Having seen the trailer in the theaters a number of times now, I also had the thought of, I think they went the wrong direction with some of the way they did the casting for it. I think they should have had a few more people that are a little bit on the younger side, whereas they picked people that are contemporaries of Pitt and Clooney, which is the generation from when the first one came out of who are the hot up-and-coming rising stars. And so then when you do it now, it feels a little bit like, hey, let's try and get Sandra Bullock one more big hit. Hey, it feels a little bit like doing some of that. So I think I've got a lot of thoughts. But generally speaking, I'm more excited about it than I thought I was going to be.
Okay. Some suggestions to rank movies from.
Why is Doggy Bo staring at me?
He probably needs to go out.
So, I'm going to be careful. So, for about 10 minutes now, this has been my view. He's just sitting there staring at me. You're good. You're good. just sitting there staring at me. So every time I look over, there's a dog staring at me.
He's a movie fan.
He wants to say something. So, what time are we supposed to meet my mother?
We're good for right now. We need to go soon.
Okay, so
I'm watching the clock.
Closing out soon.
Oh, shoot. What was I just saying?
I have no clue.
That's not helpful at all.
Because I started talking about the dog. We were talking about oceans. That's the last thing I answered.
Oh, they want you to rank the movies from the 2010s. What is your favorite?
All of the movies from the 2010s?
That is what someone just suggested. Or
Woo!
has suggested multiple times. What is your favorite Simon Pegg film?
Hot Fuzz? Hot Fuzz? I think I'd go Hot Fuzz.
I can support that.
I mean, I love him in the Mission Impossible movies. He
Yeah.
does great. I prefer him as the guy that fills in the gaps in movies. He's a great addition. So I don't immediately think Simon Pegg movies and have a whole bunch of like, oh, these movies he starred in. But I can think of like, oh man, he's a great addition to Mission Impossible. Oh, he's a great Scotty.
Sorry, I keep losing track because there's so many questions. Can Cap die, and do you think he will?
Can he die? Yeah, he's a human. Will he die? Maybe. I think someone's going to die. And I think there's
been lots of questions. Who do you think will die? Or do you have a guess?
Yeah, I think that you kind of run a story with Captain to where you can kill him off and it feels good. And he's run the course of his story and his trilogy. He's made an impact. And he's the guy that's outside of time. And so being a soldier, part of being a soldier, dying as a soldier is a good thing to do. And so seems that would make a good bit of sense. I'd much rather him die than Tony. I think Robert Downey Jr. sticking around for a long time is kind of this guy that pops up from time to time throughout the phases. I think he fits a lot better in that role. Where like if you see, I think where you got Tony's about to propose to Pepper Potts and stuff like that. If they have like a wedding in Infinity War and then he dies in the movie, like that. I just hear that.
Very Tony though.
It'd be very Tony, but sounds like that. Just sounds like something that I would hate. That just would be like unpleasant drama. Whereas like you can have a really good Captain America death and you're like, I'm crying, but man, this was so good, and not feel like it sours something for you. You don't feel like you lost something that you'd like to see. And with Iron Man being the one that kicks this thing off, him sticking around until they're like, all right, we're done with the MCU, rebooting the whole thing. And in that one, there's some final moment with Tony. I think that sounds amazing to me.
Even though they kind of had it where he died, like when he was going into the wormhole or whatever that thing was. So he didn't really die, but they all thought that he died. So he had like a death scene.
No, he did get a death scene of sorts, but...
What's your Myers-Briggs?
NTP, why do you ask?
Because they asked.
Oh, they asked.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Me?
I was messing with you.
Well, that was good. You got me.
Because you said it to me like you were asking, hey, what's your Myers-Briggs? So Myers-Briggs, if you don't know what it is, it's a personality test. I'm a huge fan of Myers-Briggs. So whoever asked, you have connected with me on I've done some videos in the past where I did Q&A. I actually included in there and put like in the description where you can do the Myers-Briggs. I love Myers-Briggs. I had all my interns in the past take it, demanded she take it. And so basically there's 4 different categories in it. There's 2 different levels on it. So there's 16 different personality types. And are you introverted or are you extroverted? Or are you intuitive or sensing, which is the idea of do you see big picture or do you see the details? Next one, or do you make decisions based off feelings or thinking? And that's not to say that you're stupid and emotional if you do feelings or that you're super logical if you're thinking, but which one kind of weighs in a little bit more when making decisions? And the last one is, are you judging or perceptive, which are terrible words for the categories. Basically, it's are you type A or type B? Are you super organized and want things decided, or are you someone that likes things open? What am I? I am an INTP. Very introverted, very much an N. I see big picture. That's why when I talk about movies, I talk a lot about story and structure and pieces fitting together. That's why I like to talk about where movies came from and kind of my re-reviews. That's why I talk about MCU connections, because it's all big picture stuff. And that's how my brain naturally works. And like even as you guys kind of asked about like which are your favorite Iron Man suits, that's kind of a little bit more specific details, and I don't notice things like that as much. Like I just don't notice it, whereas big picture connection things I extensively notice. So INT, I'm logical, I'm not emotional at all, I have no feelings is what that means. That's not what that means at all. Just I tend to be a logical decision maker. And then I'm a P, which means I like things open-ended. I like the freedom to make new choices, which kind of clashes somewhat with if you look at my strength finder type stuff. It's like strategic thinking, planning, forward thinking, vision casting. Those are like my gifting. So I'm really good at making plans. I have extensive plans and schedules for when I'm going to shoot videos for the next 3 months. And at the same time, I don't want to stick to any of those plans. So I have a very weird mix of personality types in any of my stuff. And like when I ask other people when they do Q&As, I frequently ask them their Myers-Briggs personality types as well. You can look at, if you want to do it yourself, you can look up 16 personalities. Google that, 16 personality types test or something like that. And there's one that's like 16personalitytest.com or something like that. And that one, it's a really good version of the test. It's not quite it's like Myers-Briggs plus. It's got some extra stuff in there, but it's a very good version of the test. So there you go. And I think mine's like called the mastermind or something like that, or the architect, like because of my big picture thinking type stuff. There you go.
You like DC over Marvel?
In theory, I like DC over Marvel. Okay. I think like Batman, Superman, I like them more than any Marvel characters. So put it that way.
Do you think Netflix MCU TV shows are failing?
No, I think that's too broad of a generalization, because the last one they did was Punisher, and Punisher is really good.
Which is your favorite one, by the way? That's also a follow-up.
Daredevil's. Okay, so I'll go through these. So just so you know, I'm gonna have videos on this in a week because Jessica Jones season 2 is coming out, so I'm gonna watch that. I'll probably review the first episode. I'll review the season, and then I'll rank either all the seasons or all the shows. I don't remember what I did last. And then I'll probably do like... a ton of you guys have been asking about ranking the villains from Netflix. Like, why didn't you put those in your Marvel one? It's like, because I don't want the video to go on for an hour. I don't... Like, that's... it. Already, I'm getting so much crap for who I didn't put in there. Like, you put the Sovereign in, but you didn't put... Like, there's no... It's a judgment call. Like, I know how I thought about it. I know how I decided. And I thought through all the movies, but... If you added in the Netflix stuff into it, then people would be like, why didn't you put the ABC shows in there? Why didn't you do Agent Carter? Why didn't you do The Runaways? Why didn't you do The Inhumans? Why didn't you do Agents of the S.H.I.E.L.D.? Because I haven't watched any of them. So, a bunch of thoughts going in. So, do I think they're failing? No. The last show they did was The Punisher, and I thought it was really good. Jessica Jones was really good. As for what's my favorite? Daredevil. Daredevil seasons 1 and 2 are excellent. Now, Luke Cage... 50% great, 50% not so great. Iron Fist, that's a failure. That didn't go well. Most people did. I liked it more than most people, but that's because it's my kind of thing. It's very watchable for me, but I can watch it and go, this isn't really good though. And then Defenders, a letdown. I thought it was good. It was not as good as it should have been, and certainly that I kind of forget that it happened. That's not a good sign that they brought all these characters together and it's like, oh yeah, that happened. Like, did you even watch Defenders? Did you watch Defenders? She doesn't even know. She doesn't even remember she watched it with me.
We started it. I can't remember if I finished it.
Yeah,
I do remember starting it.
So they go into a building at the end of it. There's a big battle in the building. Do you remember the big ending?
Yes, but it also feels like a trailer.
Yeah, so she doesn't even know. She doesn't even know she watched it. That's such a bad sign. She can tell you. Well, I watched Daredevil season 2 1,000 times. So I don't think they're failing. I just think that the quality dropped at a certain point, and I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if that's like they started with some great showrunners and got some bad ones, or if they started doing too many things and the quality dropped. I don't know, but Punisher was good.
I don't know what this means. Arrow G says. Can't scroll down. My computer froze. There we go. How'd the arm workout feel?
We already talked about it in the comment section. So I haven't done the shoulder workout yet, but I did the arm workout. We already talked about that one.
He just mentioned. I'm sorry.
So he basically gave me an arm workout. I don't know, back in December, and so it took me a little while to do it, but I did it in January. So we talked about it in the comment section. I have not done the shoulder workout.
But you talked about it now in the comment section?
No, we talked about it like 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
I don't have a new update since we last talked about it. Okay. I've not done the shoulder workout.
Do you think William Dafoe would make a great Joker?
Yeah. Well, he's old now. He would have been. He would have been great. We know that.
He'd be a really good creepy old Joker.
Yeah, he could be creepy. Yeah,
like super creepy old Joker would be.
But I mean,
the scariest thing ever.
You just look at him in Green Goblin and you go, yeah. Put white makeup on this guy. This would be a great Joker. So definitely, I just don't. If they did like an old Batman, there you go. You know, wiry, insane-looking guy. That's William Dafoe.
Thoughts on Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
I've never seen it. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Shut up.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I've done a lot of my own little short video projects back in my past life when I was a youth pastor, and I would do I've done several different kind of like 30-minute, 40-minute, 50-minute video type things for retreats where I wrote these long scripts, and one of them I like took Scott Pilgrim versus the World style and did a whole dodgeball battle in kind of that video game style with the coins, and so when people got hit by the ball, they turned into a bunch of coins and stuff. And
that was cool.
That was a really one of the coolest videos I've ever done. But so I really liked it. It's not one that I watch a lot. It's more of like, this is a really cool thing that this exists, more so than a thing that I'm like, I want to watch this all the time.
Someone had suggested to wait until the newer seasons of Arrow and The Flash are on Blu-ray, and then you could rank them then.
So that because the problem is right when the demand, when people want to talk about it, as soon as that season ends, that's where there's the demand. That's where it gets tricky, because like I could review the episodes of Flash and Arrow and stuff eventually, and it wouldn't be too big of a deal. But the problem is that there's a window where people want it right now in that demand. And if you catch that wave of right when people are looking for it, then it does well. And if you don't catch that, you just kind of wasted time doing it. That's where live TV is so tricky. So I'm going to catch up by the end of the season, and so then I'll rank the seasons of Flash and rank the seasons of Arrow whenever the seasons come to an end. So I'll have to do some catch up on some of that stuff.
I know we've addressed this in previous live shows, but I can't remember the reason. They're asking about ranking James Bond movies. I know you have a response to that. But
I've ranked the Daniel Craig ones.
Yes.
The problem is that there's a lot of them. So what I don't like to do is rank based off of old memories. So I've seen all the James Bond movies. It's been 20 years since I watched some of those Roger Moore movies. It's been 10 years since I watched the Sean Connery movies. And so I could rank them, but I'd be making things up. I'd be relying on unreliable memories. And that's not what I want to do. That cheapens what I do. So in order for me to do the James Bond movies, when's there going to be a window of time where I can watch 25 movies to be able to do that? That's not going to happen. So what I'm kind of trying to do is maybe watch, like I could do all the Sean Connery movies in a month and then rank them. So that's what, there's stuff like that I'm trying to do to make it happen, but it's just finding the right window. There's never like an urgent point in time to rank the Sean Connery movies. So there's no thing to where there's a spike of interest in it. So those are some of the thoughts into what I'm doing with it. When a new James Bond movie comes out, I certainly will find a way to have a bunch of good James Bond things to rank when that happens. But that's where it's kind of tricky, because without a new one coming out, there's nothing urgent to make it happen. Same with Quentin Tarantino ones. People constantly ask me to rank Quentin Tarantino movies. Well, he doesn't have a movie coming out for another year or whatever, however long that is till his Charles Manson movie comes out. In which case, I'm not rushing to get that one done. And then, there's a reason that I might pick to do The Hunger Games this weekend because there's a new Jennifer Lawrence movie. And there's a reason I might want to do some of these other things because new things are coming out. But that's where it gets... There's a lot of things that people are asking me to do, and there's not urgency for all of them.
We have a hard deadline, 6 minutes.
Okay.
We have to wrap up in 6 minutes.
6 minutes, everybody, and my nose is itching. I'm sorry. The longer I talk, the more my nose starts to itch. It's a very common thing. Real quick, actually, I want to tell you this. I don't do a lot of live streams on my main channel because I need someone to run the chat board with me to make it happen. And so, like, we had to get someone to take our kids. If you guys are interested, I don't want to push too hard or anything like that, but over on my Patreon page, I do a live stream Sundays at 3 p.m., 2 or 3 times a month. I try and do it every week, but life happens. And so I do live streams over there very frequently. I'll probably do another one tomorrow. And just my main channel, it's just a lot more difficult without having my wife to join in or someone. So if you want to check that out, even supporting at the lowest levels, you can get in on that. And because I have some ways to kind of restrict the audience just because it's very overwhelming to, even with my wife only running the chat board, she can't keep up. So it's a lot. So if you want to consider supporting me over on Patreon, I do live streams more frequently, a lot more frequently over there, and you definitely can get your question answered because it's like 10 of us in there, it's 15 of us in there as opposed to 150 people.
Yes or no question. Have you seen Howard the Duck?
I've never seen Howard the Duck. I don't know that we'll watch it anytime soon because my wife would lose so much respect for your Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
She's in it, and it looks so creepy where there's a duck like ogling her and they're making out and stuff. I don't think my wife wants to just
out with that.
I've seen there's like videos on the YouTubes that are like the 10 creepiest scenes in Howard the Duck. I've watched those, and they made me go, "Oh no! Why is she in this? Why is this happening? Why did George Lucas have something to do with this?" So I haven't seen it.
Okay, real quick, I'm just going to say we've gotten a lot of suggestions for ranking videos. I have written them down. I'm not going to run them all by him right now because that'll take up time, but I don't want you to feel like I'm ignoring you. I wrote them down. I'll run them by him later, and I'm sorry we can't address them right now. Do you watch anime?
No.
It's one. That one?
I mean, I've watched some anime.
That recent one, creepy...
Yeah, when Death Note came out, I watched through like 10, 15 episodes of Death Note, the anime for that one. It's just not, once again, it's not something I hate, any negative feelings towards. It's just not a thing that I've specifically ever gotten into. But, back in the day, I watched Akira, and I've seen a number of the big ones. Crying Freeman.
Sorry. Do you like movies based on games?
Video games?
I like... Yes. Clue.
I like Clue. Clue's great. One's based off movies, does not have the best track record. One of these days they'll get it right, but yeah, I mean, it all kind of depends. If there's just a clever idea with Clue, they just came up with a fun idea to do this kind of whodunit slapstick thing and got a great cast. So they found a way that made it work. Even though Clue doesn't really have as a game, doesn't have a big plot, it lends itself to a certain type of movie that's enjoyable. A lot of games don't lend themselves. When people are like, Monopoly the movie, that'd be great. People buying real estate in a shoe? Like, what would the game be, or movie be? So.
Sorry.
My nose.
Didn't you do a Dark Age of Disney with Rachel?
No, I didn't.
You were going to, though, right?
No, we did the Renaissance.
Oh, the Renaissance.
I haven't seen the Dark Ages.
Okay.
Well, I have seen some of the Dark Ages, but...
All right, I'm sorry, so I lied a little bit on accident. I thought he'd already done this, which is why I brought it up.
Yeah, I did like an hour-long one with Rachel Wagner.
Yeah, that's what they suggested.
One of my good buddies here on the YouTubes. We did like an hour-long one where we ranked the Renaissance movies. So those are Rachel and I are the same age, so we both grew up. Those were the animated movies of our childhood, and so we did that one together. And so. Whenever Ralph Breaks the Internet comes out, I'll have probably at that point in time put out multiple different. I'll do the Renaissance again, kind of my new shorter version. That one with Rachel is over an hour long, so I'll do a shorter, like the movies of the Renaissance ranked in 10 minutes sorts of deal. I'll probably do movies of the 21st century or movies from the last 10 years, probably something like that. I don't know what the current era is called. I wouldn't want to do like Treasure Planet, but the stuff more recent. Do one of the last 10 years or something like that. So I'll have several of those that I plan to do, and perhaps the Dark Ages would happen as well.
Sorry. What is a film that you love and I hate?
That I love and you
I
hate.
Yes. That you love and the wife hates.
Why don't you answer that one?
Well, I thought you would think of something. Right
There's a bunch of movies that I went to go watch Death Wish the other night, and a movie where the wife gets killed and stuff like that. Anything like that. She hates that stuff. Apparently, she takes it personal that I've bought a bunch of guns waiting for when she dies so that I can avenge her. She takes that personally for some reason. No, that's a joke. I don't own any guns. But I enjoy revenge movies like that where the wife and the kids get killed and then the guy goes and kills everyone. She does not enjoy that at all. She does not find that fun or entertaining. So that's what immediately comes to mind. Anything that's like the hard revenge stuff like that where the wife dies or kid, especially
or the dog.
You know, like John Wick?
I haven't seen it. And you know why I haven't seen it.
We watched John Wick.
No.
You watched John Wick with me? I thought you had.
I think I've seen part of it. Maybe I made you skip the beginning.
Yeah, you'd like John Wick if you got past that one little part with the dog.
It's a part of the. It's not like you can't. You can take it out. Like it's part of his story. Yeah. And even his wife dies too. So you'd hate that. Like that's the setup is that his wife dies and like here's a dog so you're not lonely. Awful. How bad will Solo flop?
I don't think it'll flop. When I think flop or bomb, I think movie that loses a ton of money. A movie with Star Wars in the title, it's not going to bomb. It's not going to flop. I think it's tough. It's tough to know. I don't think it's going to be as... I think it's going to be, of all the new recent movies, by far the worst reviews. It'll probably still be fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, so it'll probably be 60s or low 70s. And it'll open to like a respectable 100 million opening, but well below where Rogue One opened. And it will not have great legs, but it'll still, in theory, be profitable, but just not this $1 billion club type stuff. So that's would be my guess as of right now with the trailer they put out, with the bizarre turnover type stuff, with the type of buzz when people are like, a Han Solo movie, I like Han Solo. Wait, this guy's Han Solo? I don't... That would be my guess. It'll be good enough. Which, when it's Star Wars, good enough is kind of embarrassing.
Okay. I think we've got two more that I'm going to do, and then we're going to have to call it because we're we're over my hard
Okay,
line.
So are these good ones? Good.
I thought so.
Okay.
Do you know about the Monsterverse? Is first part of the question?
Do I know about the Monsterverse?
Yes. Is that a no? The follow-up question is, did you like King Kong of 2005? So I assume those are married together.
King Kong 2005. Okay. I don't know. Monsterverse isn't a clearly accepted term for something that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, but I assume we're referring to Godzilla and Kong Skull Island. That would be my guess. And I liked both of those movies. I thought, I didn't have any big issues with Godzilla from a few years ago. And I thought when the action went down, it was really good. And it just didn't there was a couple times where it cut away and did news broadcast stuff, and that bothered me. But there is a lot of monster action in the movie. There's just not a lot of Godzilla tearing people to pieces. So when you get to Godzilla doing that, it's awesome. So, and then with Kong Skull Island, they gave us a lot of Kong. The movie seemed a little bit ho-hummy to me, a little bit. But I'm excited for what else comes out in the universe. That's kind of where I'm at. I think the biggest probably sign that maybe Kong Skull Island didn't make a big enough impression on me is I've never shown it to her. And she liked Godzilla too. Now she wouldn't like, I don't know. Do you like Aaron Taylor Johnson or Tom Hiddleston more?
Wait, what was the question?
Are you into Aaron Taylor Johnson or Tom Hiddleston more?
Who's Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Quicksilver. Godzilla.
Oh.
Because that's the connection. He's the guy in Godzilla where he is married to his sister in it.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. She go Aaron Taylor Johnson, so she might not like Kong Skull Island as much because you don't have that Aaron Taylor Johnson in there. But I never showed it to her, and it didn't make enough impact for me to show her a movie with Tom Hiddleston, John Goodman, Samuel L. Jackman. That's not a great sign, but I enjoyed it enough when I watched it.
Okay, the other one is, do you like or hate the Fox-Disney deal?
I like it and I hate it. What I like is that I think Disney consistently puts out quality products. They make good things. So we're going to get more good X-Men. We're probably going to finally get good Fantastic Four. But the reason that Disney does good so well and they deliver quality so consistently is that they have a very set template. And they have restrictions on what they do. And they know how to make something that has a broad appeal. That's what Disney does best. They make things that have enormous broad appeal. That's why they make tons of money. That's why MCU, they went, this MCU thing, this is going to make us a ton of money. And then they bought it. So what they don't do is they don't make movies like Deadpool. They don't make movies like Logan. They don't take the risks. And so when you look at, they pushed New Mutants back a year after Disney acquired Fox. Don't know if that's connected. Don't know if that means that New Mutants wasn't working. I don't know. I look at that and I go, So what I love, I love that the X-Men can be in the MCU. I love that Fantastic Four can be in the MCU. I think that'll be a nice way to give us a Phase 4 that's interesting, different, unique, and has fresh new characters in it without having to have Chris Evans and everything, and Chris Hemsworth and everything, and more Tony Stark. So that's great. It'll be good. I don't like that everything's going to be MCU-ified, Disney-ified. I don't like that we're not going to get some of these riskier things, that we're not going to get the Logans, we're not going to get the R-rated adult stuff. I don't like that it's all going to be the same flavor. I love the thing that I respect most about Fox is they took chances. They did weird stuff. Sometimes the weird stuff didn't work, and sometimes it worked great. And I'm okay with that. Like, some risks don't pay off, and that's okay. So those are kind of my thoughts on it. I love and hate different things about it. So I don't know. I don't know where I land yet. And I've been thinking about it for 2 months.
Is it real that Disney is talking about buying DC? Is that a thing?
No-ish. Yes-ish. The talk is that whoever owns Warner Brothers is thinking about selling Warner Brothers, and DC and Warner Brothers are linked, and so then there's people going, well, could Disney buy the DC? And I don't see that happening. I don't think that's a good fit at all. DC's not the same as Marvel. They have different flavors and tones in the way they've kind of done things. So I don't think that would happen. All right, we've kind of closed things out.
I just want to reiterate again, I did take notes on all the ranking suggestions. So if I didn't read them, I have them.
And I read them in the comment section. Like, you guys put those in the comments. I read all that. I do put notes elsewhere. I respond to a lot of it. Where, like, I'll add that to the list. That's a good idea. Like, a bunch of people saying do post-credit scenes. I'm going to do the post-credit scenes. When Infinity War comes up. That is one of my plans for how to follow up all the success I've had after Black Panther stuff. That's one of the ones I plan to do. So, we're paying attention to all of that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, watching. That there's over 100 people that were in here. That's amazing that you guys care enough to watch my channel, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. I do appreciate it. I do just want to talk movies with you guys. That's why I do this. That's why I'm down in the comment section. If you want more live streams, I can't do them much on my main channel, but if you support me, even if just $1 over on Patreon, every week at 3 p.m. Central Time, Texas time. I try and do those 3-4 times a month, or 2 or 3 times a month. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining me on this little project. We got to go pick up my kids or eat dinner with my mother and kids and everything at Kirby Lane. Fun times. What? Did I say that funny?
You're fine.
What did I do wrong? Oh, my nose is killing me. Oh.
Have a nice night.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, have a nice night. We're done.